Good morning, Berea. I wanted to take just a moment and to give a short message on Memorial Day. You're going to hear from a couple of men that are veterans, myself being a veteran as well. We understand a little bit of the sacrifices that have been made, ultimately by those who gave their lives. And this day is dedicated to remembering and to giving a time of reflection on the lives that have been given. I trust that you will pray for the families and for the loved ones of those who gave their lives for our country. We may enjoy our freedoms, but freedom isn't necessarily cheap or free. It costs, and for some, it costs all. Each year on Memorial Day, Americans pause to remember the fallen and honor their sacrifice. We reflect on the ultimate sacrifice made by members of the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, and the Navy. Memorial Day was first established as Declaration Day after the Civil War in the late 1860s. The holiday was set aside for families and friends to visit and decorate the graves of troops lost in the conflict. As time went on, the observance became known as Memorial Day, until in 1971, Congress declared it an official holiday set to fall annually on the last Monday in May. This holiday evolved to commemorate American military personnel who died in all wars, including World War II, the Korean, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan war and conflicts. The poppy has been a symbol of Memorial Day, and it was begun after World War I by a woman named Moyna Michael. She read the poem Flanders Field, and in remembrance of all the sacrifices made, she vowed to always wear a red poppy. She wrote a response to Flanders Field entitled, "We Shall Keep the Faith." I'd like to read that poem today. Oh, you who sleep in Flanders Field, sleep sweet to rise anew. We caught the torch you threw, and holding high, we keep the faith with all who died. We cherish too the poppy red that grows on fields where valor led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies, but lends a luster to the red of the flower that blooms above the dead in Flanders Fields. And now the torch and poppy red we wear in honor of our dead. Fear not that you have died for naught. We'll teach the lesson that you wrought in Flanders Field. May this Memorial Day be a reminder and a lesson learned of the sacrifices made to keep America the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Pat Hayes, a longtime member of Berea. He also happens to be a veteran who served overseas representing our country. I thought in honor of the day it'd be great to hear from one of our veterans and hear specifically what Memorial Day means to him. So, Pat, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you served, what branch of the military you were in, and also some details.
Okay, I'd be happy to. I served 4 years in the Marine Corps, came out of the Marines as a corporal. 26 months of those 4 years were spent in the Far East, 13 months in Japan and that area, and then 13 months in Vietnam. Memorial Day, to me, all started funny here at Berea, where I really took homage of what Memorial Day really was. We went to a Promise Keepers meeting, and Berea had set up a time where we could go to visit the war memorials while we were there. When the guys mentioned that to me and they said, come on, let's go visit the memorials, I really didn't want to do it because I knew it was going to be emotional for me. But they talked me into going, so I went, and today I'm very glad I did go. At the time it was very emotional for me. Sometimes it's still that way, but not as bad as it used to be. We just always have to remember that our freedoms are because of the people that sacrificed it all. And to me, sometimes we take so much for granted in this country about our freedoms. We just take them for granted because we've had them for so long. I think I talked to Mike about, we going through this thing we're going through now with the coronavirus and all that. We seem to be really put upon because of the things we're having to go through. Staying at home, not being able to go to restaurants, the theater, ball games, all those things. If you stop and think about it, and if you've seen some of the things that you see when you're in the military, you realize that most of this world lives the way we're living right now every day for their whole life. And to me, that should mean that we as Americans and with all our freedoms should realize how blessed we are and thank God every day for what we have.
Well said, Pat. And I think about myself having never served, but how could I honor people? I think about the Memorial Day weekend now. It's become a 3-day weekend, and it's about families and parties and picnics and things of that nature. We seem to have lost sight of the people that have died and gone before us to protect those freedoms. You've seen active duty over there, wars, battles, death, etc. What would Memorial Day mean to you specifically as we celebrate it this weekend?
I think just that you remember what great sacrifices have been made, and not just from us. I mean, the other thing you learn when you're in a war is it's just as bad for the other side. I mean, when you see people laying dead on the battlefield, and one of the first things you have to do is go over and search and clear their bodies, any kind of information they may have. Sadly enough, every time you do that, you usually see the guy carrying some kind of little plastic folder or something, and you open that up, and here this guy is with his family, with his kids and his wife. Then it hits you, and you think, man, it's just not right that we should get to the point where we have to do those kind of things. I mean, I know you have to follow what your government and everything tells you, and that's the way it should be. But when you think of war, even in peacetime, the little nitpicking things we do, like our government right now, battling back and forth about things that don't really matter. They should be concentrating on how can we better change this
Well
country.
said, Pat. We appreciate what you've done, and let me tell you, thank you on behalf of all the Bereans for your service
I
and what you
appreciate
did
that.
for the
Thank
country. We don't, we take it for granted way too much. We don't recognize the sacrifices people like you have made. So thanks for what you've done, and
Well,
I
thank
hope you enjoyed this video as well. And Pat, thanks for everything you've done.
Thank you.